Karen stared at the computer screen, her fingers trembling on the keyboard. With a few clicks, she had exposed the private address of the woman who had wronged her. A twisted act of vengeance that would change everything. As the news of her betrayal spread, Karen braced herself for the inevitable storm to come. Karen's heart pounded with a mix of rage and exhilaration as she hit the post button on Facebook. The deed was done. Her former friend's personal address was now floating in the digital aether, ripe for the taking. A cruel smile tugged at the corners of her mouth. "Let's see how you like it," she muttered under her breath, already imagining the fallout. It had all started a few weeks ago when Karen's boss, James, invited her to a company party. Eager to make a good impression, Karen had dressed to the nines, ready to mingle with the bigwigs. But as soon as she arrived, her excitement turned to horror. There, in the center of the room, was her old college roommate, Samantha, the woman who had stolen her boyfriend and crushed her dreams years ago. Samantha was laughing and chatting with James, completely oblivious to Karen's presence. Rage boiled in Karen's veins. How dare she show her face here, after all the pain she had caused? Without hesitation, Karen marched over and confronted Samantha, demanding an explanation. "What the hell are you doing here?" she hissed, her voice dripping with venom. Samantha's eyes widened in surprise. "Karen? I work here now. James hired me last month." The words felt like a slap in the face. James, the man Karen had been hoping to impress, had chosen her sworn enemy over her. Humiliated and furious, Karen turned on her heel and stormed out of the party, tears of betrayal stinging her eyes. In the days that followed, Karen seethed with resentment. How could James do this to her? And Samantha, the nerve of her to show up and act all innocent, as if the past meant nothing. Karen knew she had to get even, to make them both pay for their treachery. That's when the idea struck her. With a few keystrokes, she could expose Samantha's private address to the world, opening her up to harassment, stalking, or worse. It was a high-risk gamble, but the potential rewards were too tempting to resist. As Karen watched the post go live, a surge of twisted satisfaction washed over her. She had taken matters into her own hands, and now the consequences would unfold, ready or not. The next morning, Karen awoke with a sense of both dread and anticipation. She knew the post she had made the night before would have immediate and potentially far-reaching consequences, but she was oddly eager to see how it all played out. As she sipped her coffee and scrolled through her social media feeds, the comments and shares on her Facebook post began to pile up. At first, there were a few confused responses from Samantha's friends and family, inquiring about the sudden exposure of her address. But within an hour, the tone took a decidedly sinister turn. "Hope you enjoy your new guests, Samantha." One comment read, accompanied by a smattering of laughing emojis. "Time to pay the piper," another user chimed in. Karen's stomach churned as she read the increasingly threatening messages. She hadn't expected things to escalate so quickly, and a small part of her wondered if she had gone too far. But the overwhelming sense of vindication drowned out any lingering doubts. Just as she was about to close her laptop, a notification popped up on her phone. It was a text from James, her boss. "Karen, we need to talk. My office. Now." Dread washed over her. Had Samantha already reported the post? Was she about to face the consequences of her actions? Steeling herself, Karen grabbed her bag and headed to the office, her mind racing with possible scenarios. When she arrived, James was waiting for her, his expression grave. "Karen, I just received a call from Samantha. She's pressing charges against the company for harassment and invasion of privacy. Apparently, someone posted her home address on Facebook last night." Karen felt the blood drain from her face. I don't know anything about that," she lied, her voice quivering. James shook his head, his disappointment palpable. "Don't insult my intelligence, Karen. I know it was you. and now the company is facing a major lawsuit because of your actions. As the weight of her decision sank in, Karen realized the true gravity of what she had done. Her need for vengeance had spiraled out of control, and now both she and her employer were facing the consequences. Trapped in a web of her own making, Karen could only brace herself for the impending fallout. Karen's heart raced as she sat across from James, her boss, struggling to maintain her composure. The weight of her actions had come crashing down, and she was now facing the consequences head-on. "I don't know what you're talking about," she lied, her voice shaking. "I had nothing to do with that post." James fixed her with a stern gaze, his disappointment palpable. "Don't insult my intelligence, Karen. We both know the truth." Trapped in the web of her own deceit, Karen felt the walls closing in. She had let her desire for vengeance blind her, and now the company she worked for was facing a major lawsuit because of her reckless actions. I'm sorry," she stammered, the words feeling hollow and inadequate. "I just wanted to get back at Samantha for what she did to me. I didn't think it would blow up like this." James shook his head, his expression grave. "That's no excuse, Karen. You've put this company in a very precarious position. Samantha is demanding compensation and a public apology, and if we don't comply, she's threatening to take us to court." Karen swallowed hard, the gravity of the situation sinking in. What's going to happen to me?" "That's what we need to discuss," James said, his tone clipped. "Given the seriousness of this situation, I have no choice but to suspend you pending an investigation. Your actions have put the company at risk, and we can't afford the liability." Karen felt her stomach drop. Suspended? An investigation? This was far worse than she had imagined. She had thought her plan would be a quick and satisfying act of revenge, but now it was spiraling out of control. "Please, James," she pleaded, "I can't lose this job. I needed to pay my bills, and—" James held up a hand, silencing her. "I'm sorry, Karen, but my hands are tied. The decision has been made. You're to gather your things and leave the premises immediately. We'll be in touch regarding the next steps." As Karen trudged back to her desk, her mind reeled with the implications of her foolish actions. She had let her emotions get the better of her, and now she was facing the very real possibility of losing everything. The weight of her mistake was crushing, and she could only hope that somehow, some way, she could find a way to make things right. Karen's world had been turned upside down. As she gathered her belongings from her desk, her mind raced with 1,000 different thoughts and emotions. How could this have all gone so terribly wrong? Just hours ago, she had been consumed by a burning desire for revenge, driven by the wounds of her past. But now, the consequences of her actions had come crashing down, threatening to destroy everything she had worked so hard to build. With a heavy heart, she made her way out of the office, feeling the curious and judgmental stares of her colleagues burning into her back. The walk to her car had never felt so long or so lonely. Once behind the wheel, Karen finally allowed the tears to flow freely. She gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles turning white as the gravity of the situation fully sank in. Not only had she jeopardized her own employment, but the very future of the company she had come to depend on. As the reality of her predicament set in, Karen's thoughts turned to Samantha. Her former friend-turned-rival had been the catalyst for this entire mess, and the unfairness of it all was almost too much to bear. How could Samantha, the woman who had so callously betrayed her in the past, now hold such power over her? Wiping the tears from her eyes, Karen made a decision. She couldn't undo what had been done, but she could sure as hell try to make things right. With a renewed sense of determination, she started her car and headed to Samantha's house, intent on pleading for forgiveness and finding a way to make amends. When she arrived at the modest suburban home, Karen's heart raced. The street was eerily quiet, with no signs of the chaos she had unleashed the night before. Steeling her nerves, she approached the front door and knocked, praying that Samantha would be willing to listen. After a moment, the door opened, and there stood Samantha, her expression a mix of confusion and apprehension. "Karen," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "What are you doing here?" Taking a deep breath, Karen met Samantha's gaze, her eyes filled with a rare vulnerability. "Samantha, I need to talk to you about what happened. I've made a terrible mistake, and I need your help to fix it." Samantha stared at Karen, her brow furrowed with a mix of confusion and wariness. After all the years that had passed, she never imagined her former friend would show up on her doorstep, let alone in a state of such clear distress. "What are you talking about, Karen?" Samantha asked cautiously, her eyes darting back and forth as if expecting some sort of trap. Karen took a deep, steadying breath. "It's about what happened last night on Facebook. I'm the one who posted your address online." Samantha's eyes widened in shock, the color draining from her face. "You did what?" she exclaimed, her voice laced with a mixture of disbelief and outrage. "I'm so sorry, Samantha," Karen pleaded, her words tumbling out in a desperate rush. "I was angry, and I let my emotions get the better of me. I never meant for things to spiral out of control like this. I wanted to get back at you for what happened in college." Samantha's features hardened as the realization of Karen's actions sank in. "You put my family in danger, Karen. Do you have any idea what kind of chaos that's caused?" I know, Karen said, her voice trembling. "And I'm so sorry. I came here because I want to try and make this right, to fix the mess I've created. Please, Samantha, is there anything I can do?" For a long moment, Samantha stood there, her gaze locked with Karen's, a whirlwind of emotions playing across her face. Finally, she let out a deep sigh and stepped aside, gesturing for Karen to come inside. "We need to talk," Samantha said, her tone grave. "And you better have a damn good plan to get me and my family out of this mess you've caused." Karen nodded, her relief palpable as she stepped through the threshold. This was her chance to make amends, to try and undo the damage she had wrought. But as she followed Samantha deeper into the house, a sense of trepidation crept up her spine. She knew that the road to redemption would not be an easy one, and the consequences of her actions would haunt her for a long time to come. The air inside Samantha's home was thick with tension as Karen followed her former friend into the living room. Samantha gestured for Karen to take a seat on the couch, then moved to the armchair across from her, her posture rigid. "All right, Karen," Samantha began, her voice calm but stern. "Start talking. What exactly did you do, and how do you plan to fix it?" Karen took a deep breath, steeling herself for the difficult conversation ahead. "Last night, I posted your home address on Facebook. I was so angry, and I just wanted to get back at you for what happened in college. I never imagined it would spiral this out of control." Samantha's eyes narrowed, a flash of fury crossing her features. "Do you have any idea what kind of chaos that's caused? My family has been terrorized by strangers showing up at our door, harassing us, and who knows what else. And now the company I work for is facing a lawsuit because of your actions." Karen felt the weight of her guilt pressing down on her. "I know, Samantha. I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. I was blinded by my own anger and resentment. But that's no excuse. I need to make this right somehow." Samantha let out a frustrated sigh, running a hand through her hair. "Well, that's the understatement of the century. My family is terrified, Karen. We've had to call the police multiple times, and we're looking over our shoulders every time we step outside." Karen felt her stomach twist with remorse. "I can't even begin to imagine how frightened you must be. Is there anything I can do to help? Anything at all?" Samantha's gaze pierced through Karen, her expression unreadable. "You know, part of me wants to just slam the door in your face and never speak to you again. After all, you've destroyed the peace and security of my home. But..." She paused, letting the silence hang heavy between them. But a bigger part of me knows that the only way to truly move forward is to face this head on. So here's what I need you to do. Samantha fixed Karen with a steely gaze, her expression unreadable. Here's what I need you to do, Karen. First, you need to go to the police and make a full confession. Take responsibility for what you've done and cooperate fully with their investigation. Karen's stomach twisted with dread, but she knew Samantha was right. Okay, I'll do it. What else? Next, you need to go to my employer and do the same thing, Samantha continued. Admit your actions, take full responsibility, and beg for their forgiveness. If they decide to terminate your employment or take legal action, you'll have to accept that. Karen nodded, her heart pounding. I'll do whatever it takes, Samantha. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make this right. Samantha studied her for a long moment, her expression softening ever so slightly. And finally, you need to issue a public apology. Post a statement on your social media accounts, taking full responsibility for your actions and expressing your sincere remorse. I'll do it, Karen said, her voice firm. I'll do all of it, Samantha. I know I've hurt you and your family, and I'm ready to face the consequences. Samantha nodded, a hint of approval in her gaze. Good, because this isn't just about you and me anymore, Karen. Your actions have put my family at risk, and I won't rest until we've set things right. Karen felt a surge of relief mixed with trepidation. She knew the road ahead would be long and difficult, but she was determined to make amends, no matter the cost. I'll get started right away, she said, rising from the couch. Thank you, Samantha, for giving me this chance. I promise I won't let you down. As she turned to leave, Samantha's voice stopped her. Karen, one more thing. If you ever pull a stunt like this again, I won't hesitate to make sure you pay the price. Understand? Karen nodded, her resolve hardening. I understand, Samantha. This is my one chance to make things right, and I'm not going to waste it. With that, she headed out the door, her mind already racing with the tasks ahead. The road to redemption would be long and arduous, but she was determined to see it through, no matter the cost. In the days that followed, Karen's life became a whirlwind of activity as she worked tirelessly to make amends for her actions. True to her word, she first went to the police station and gave a full confession, taking responsibility for posting Samantha's personal information online. The officers listened intently, their expressions somber as they took notes. Karen held nothing back, detailing the events that had led her to that fateful decision and the chaos that had ensued. She knew that her cooperation would be crucial in mitigating the legal consequences, and she was determined to do whatever it took. After the police had finished their questioning, Karen made her way to the office of Samantha's employer. The meeting with the company's legal team was tensed and uncomfortable, but Karen remained steadfast in her apology and plea for forgiveness. I know the damage I've caused is immense, she said, her voice trembling, and I'm prepared to face the full consequences of my actions. Please, I'm begging you, let me make this right. To Karen's relief, the company representatives were willing to listen, and after a lengthy discussion, they agreed to settle the matter out of court. In exchange for Karen's public apology and a significant financial settlement, they would drop the lawsuit against the company. With that weight lifted, Karen turned her attention to the final step in her quest for redemption, the public apology. She took to her social media accounts, crafting a heartfelt and contrite message that detailed her wrongdoing and the steps she was taking to make amends. The response was mixed, with some followers expressing sympathy and understanding, while others remained skeptical and unwilling to forgive. But Karen knew that true redemption would not come easily, and she was prepared to work tirelessly to earn back the trust she had so callously betrayed. As the dust began to settle, Karen found herself reflecting on the journey she had taken. The path had been arduous and filled with pain, but in the end, she had emerged a changed woman, one who understood the true weight of her actions and the importance of taking responsibility for her mistakes. And though the scars of her past would likely never fully heal, Karen knew that she had taken the first step towards a future of redemption, and perhaps even forgiveness.